some people also say, well, you could have just stuck with it because it was super successful. And I agree, it was super successful, but that's okay. And I just don't want to be successful with just one thing. And apart from being successful, which is a relative thing, I don't want to be successful. I don't want to do just one thing.
Not born alone, but I will die in it. I never took the easy way, but...
Hi, thank you so much for your time today. Opus Noir Volume 1 is coming soon. My first question has to be, how tired are you? Because it's been quite the ride these last few years.
Yeah, I gotta say I slept very well last night. So I know.
Wonderful.
In general, I'm not tired, and I know what you're saying. It's been a while since we last talked, and a lot has happened since then. I mean, we were, I think, in the middle of a pandemic when we talked.
We sure were.
So after the pandemic, in short, we put out another album which went to #1, had 2 maiden tours, went to Eurovision, had more European tours, South America, North America.
Forgetting a live album, a cover album.
Oh, live album, cover album. yeah. And obviously now a new album.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like there was no stopping, and yes, there was little to no stopping. I gotta say that. And there have been times where we all have been very tired, where we are thinking like, yeah, a moment of silence would be nice. But we made our way through it and actually love what we did with Opus Noir. And I'm excited for it to come out and to play all these songs, not just a few singles.
Right.
So in general, I'm doing good.
All right. Awesome. Now let's just double click on that for 1 second, because you say like, oh, we had to take a couple of breaks from time to time, but over these last 4 years where it's been a nonstop roller coaster, has the band changed the way you do things or just your own rhythm and schedule to make sure that you don't burn out? Because this is a lot of stuff you've taken on.
Yeah, I think we all allowed ourselves to say no more, in a context of whether it be who does what in, I don't know, this thing that we have to do. And I think it's allowed more of someone to say, hey, I don't feel capable of doing that right now for reason X. I can't. Can someone in? And to jump in for each other even more helped a lot. And also admitting to, I really can't do that right now, helps also a lot, because a lot of times in especially the music industry, everything is planned without the option of saying no or not being able to. It just has to work, which is a wonderful thing on the one hand, because for whatever reason, it always works out in one way or another. But that's also the stupid thing about it, because everyone can say to you, no, it will work out if you want it or not. And that sometimes can be a little
It sounds like a threat more than a question, but
yeah, it's definitely not a question.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to maiden tours for sure, and stuff like that.
Oh, that was easy, yes. Easy.
Yeah.
War has begun, has no need to stay.
You had the Eurovision adventure as well, and all the kind of good stuff. There was momentum there was more color all of a sudden, compared to Judas. And then, with this album, I feel like it is much closer back to Judas, where, we go, I mean, not that you've never been dark or heavy or what have you, but there's a bit of a return to that. What drove, what was the internal motivation for the people in the band? Has that something to do with people feeling more comfortable saying no as well? Was a no saying just against interviews or late night shows? Or was that also part of the creative direction of where Lord Lost has gone?
I mean, it was a definitive no to, and I think it always is a definitive no to, we've already done that.
Right.
So, in a way, also, even though you're saying we're much closer to Judas now in our aesthetic and everything, which I have to agree, obviously, I mean, there's only so many shades of black and white. Sure. I also have to say we're also pretty far from Judas, and we're obviously the furthest from Blood and Glitter. But that's not like an allergic reaction to Blood and Glitter, because that's what we wanted to do at that point in time, and so many good things developed from it. But also, when you have done this so intensely with also all of a sudden Blood and Glitter was a Eurovision thing, which we didn't plan on. The album wasn't written for Eurovision or the aesthetic made to fit Eurovision. This was born before that. It worked really well with it. But obviously it was very, very used to a point where you obviously go, okay, we've done that more than enough. And some people say, some people also say, well, you could have just stuck with it because it was super successful. And I agree, it was super successful, but that's okay. And I just don't want to be successful with just one thing. And apart from being successful, which is a relative thing, I don't want to be successful. I don't want to do just one thing. If I have to write Blood and Glitter again, that'd be very, very boring, even though I love the album. But now it's just way more exciting to say no to many things and to see what you actually want to do now, which is, with us, an ever-changing thing. And it just so happens that it is what Opus Noir now sounds and looks like and feels like.
With that in mind, like the opening track of this album, Bazaar Bizarre, if you listen to the full song, the way you open that song could have gone in a lot of different ways, because there's a lot of moods in that one song that come out. So there could have been a million different kinds of intros, if you will, for a song like that. But you decided to take out a sledgehammer in the first few seconds and make sure everybody's paying attention. Is that then also just part of that, where it's like, hey, from the first time you're going to drop the needle or push play on this album, it's going to be clear this is something different.
Yeah, it's something different, and you are in it. As you said, you get so much from just that one song, and we were talking which song displays everything that goes on Opus Noir 1, 2, and 3 the best, and the choices were it was either Bazaar Bizarre or I Will Die in It, because there's weird parts in there, there's melody in there, there's heavy parts in there, very proggy in places, but Bazaar Bizarre is just a bit more extreme, and that's why it's the perfect opener for this album and this world, because it's very uncompromising.
I was not born in love, but I will die in it. I never took the easy way, but
I love that you call out I Will Die in It as well, because it also, to your point, it has that, it almost is like a bit of a business card of the album, if you will. Like a lot of different things happen on this song. And I don't know who described the album like that. I don't know if it was the band itself, your PR team, or a reviewer, but I think somebody said, like, it's kind of like this album is supposed to be dark wave metal, but on an amphitheater scale. And both Bazaar Bizarre and I Will Die in It kind of bring those two worlds together. But I want to ask you then, for you, how difficult is it when you're thinking of guitar lines, the dark metal melancholia, the fragile nature of that, catching that in a sound, but then also being epic enough for a stadium? That must be difficult at times to find a way that works in both ways, because something that is fragile doesn't always work well in an 80,000 person arena, even if everybody puts their flashlight on. Was that a challenge sometimes, finding that balance?
Definitely. I mean, I'm very happy about the fact that we are not entirely a guitar band, so to speak. There
Right.
are way more elements that we can choose to make it more grand or more fragile or more extreme in any way. But sure, also the guitar plays a huge role in our band, because then we would just be I don't know, missing something.
Right.
Some I didn't think of that when writing too much. It was just what comes out, and if you look at the bigger picture, when all the other elements are there, does it make you feel something that can work on this album? The guitar part alone, I mean, there's guitar solo artists out there, but they sound vastly different. You could would it just be guitar? You couldn't write an album like that.
Right.
We wouldn't. This album relies heavily on the orchestral part as well, because it's so. We were thinking a lot about like Tim Burton movie soundtracks and Danny Elfman and stuff. So there has to be this grand orchestral epicness to it. Sometimes the guitar then follows. Sometimes the guitar leads in a way as well. But for example, in Bazaar Bizarre, the intro is very, very also drum heavy. So it's, you get the only this guitar part would sound a bit stupid if there wouldn't be the double bass under it. You know, so
Right.
I'm so happy that we're in a band. The Benji and I aren't the guitar solo artists there. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah. Okay. I mean, when we're talking about this, obviously, I want to also know how we have now a sixth member in the band. Opens up more of that, what is possible and so on. You said, when I was trying to find the right sound, I wasn't necessarily thinking too much about that, just kind of see what came out. I know that, a band of one person can create an album that has 1,000 layers and whatnot, and we see that, from time to time happen. But, did adding a sixth full-time member, did that change the way the creative process happened? Like, I don't want to ask too vague questions or too broad questions, but is there something that you did differently on this album because there was a sixth member?
in a way, yes. When thinking, for example, how do we split these up, or is this actually possible, or do 3/4 have to come from a laptop during the show?
Right.
It helps when there's a sixth member that can actually play more guitars, or Benji also plays synthesizers live. So that helped a lot. In terms of creative process when writing, Benji has been writing with us since 2020. So
Right.
we were all used to each other writing together. What helped though is that he was even more involved, because it's also him that's playing these songs as well, and
Right.
obviously way more involved in the whole band dynamic, because he's part of the band. And also in the idea making process, if that's a word. And also he started arranging and co-producing stuff with Weapons of Mass Seduction. So a lot of sound choices and vibe choices in a way also come from him.
Right.
So I guess it changed things, yeah. And also on stage, obviously, then when playing songs live, it's a huge addition.
Yeah, for sure. And then now also with this being volume 1 of a trilogy that's coming. I mean, I have interviewed quite a few bands that have named an album part 1 or volume 1, and then 10 years later tell interviewers like myself, like, I hate the fact that I did that, because I put myself kind of like, I locked myself up, and we'll see how this goes for you guys. But what should we like, are there certain elements that you tried out with Volume 1 that the band is particularly happy about that we should expect more of in Volume 2 and Volume 3?
You know, first and foremost, the good thing is that every volume is finished.
Okay, great. We can talk.
Every volume is finished, so we're not in this pressure situation.
Yeah.
We treated the whole writing, production process, and everything in post production as one album. So
Got it.
for the production was this album has 33 songs. What comes out, so it's all sonically coherent, and the vibe is an overall vibe, and you don't have to recreate it. What happens though is that, for example, on Volume 1, you obviously have to get the full picture of everything, and already the opener Bazaar Bizarre gives you that in close to 6 minutes. What we then can do is, when everybody now knows the world, for example, on Volume 2, I don't want to say it's a slower volume, but having in mind that it comes out in December, you wanted it to be a bit more moody and heavier, even in more in an emotional sense than in a musical sense. So it's not blast beats all over. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's one experiment on there, which is the feature with Kadia, the guy from Eurovision who was in there for Finland, which is it features 3 languages. The song.
Okay.
We haven't done that before. Only to then, after the second album being more mellow and stuff, on Volume 3, we are uplifting even in a way, which sometimes is a bit of a contrast to the overall thing that we've created, but it's our album, so we can do what we want to do, and we treated it also as a huge playground in general, only to then leave no hope at all at the end. So it's very dramatic, the whole trilogy, and even though some songs have no dynamics to them at all in a good way, the whole album has it, and it opens a lot of doors and closes them as well. And I think, I mean, we just didn't have the opportunity so far because we've never done a trilogy that leaves us so many space for experiments. And I think we've also made decisions that we wouldn't have done, for example, on Judas, or I don't know, in general, years ago, which I'm really, really happy about.
With Judas obviously coming out in a pandemic, that limited what you could do. But if there, up till that time, if there ever was, an album that could have been a full movie, if you will, or like an insane, stage production show where it's like almost like musical theater in a way, that would have been that. Now you have this again, not to want to put more work on your plate, given that basically we have an album of you guys every 6 months on average. But what is is there, given how extremely visual this band also is, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but the visual aspect is part of the art with you guys. You'll never just play, I assume, in camo shorts and like a couple of washed out t-shirts on an empty stage. That's just not who you are. Is there, now that you have all this material and this crazy story and this abundance of material, you already mentioned, can't wait to play a lot of these new songs, so we're not just going to get a few singles on live shows. Is there like an ultimate bucket list way of bringing this story to life beyond the record?
I mean, bucket list would be something that we've kind of done 50% of, which is we've played a show with a whole symphonic orchestra and a choir. But we've done that more or less we fit in the symphonic orchestra with acoustic guitars and playing grand piano and not giving too much contrast.
Right.
What I would love to do is to play Opus Noir in full with an orchestra, like all 3 volumes with an orchestra, full visuals. That would be a dream and also a huge undertaking. I don't see it happening in the near future. But if we make it long enough, maybe 20 years of Opus Noir would be a nice event for
Last
it.
milestone anniversary. There we go. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how. I don't know the dividends right now, but we maybe have to, save
I
some.
guess depends on what market you play it in, maybe.
Yeah.
Talking about
that would
different,
be a huge thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Talking about different markets, I mean, you're coming back to our shores. You'll be playing in Toronto is it January or February? I forget right now, but you're, for some brilliant reason, you all decided to come spend your winter in the northern states and Canada.
Brilliant.
Well, I mean, hey, you like a lot of white and black. That's basically what this whole place is going to look like. A lot of white.
Vibe. It's a full vibe.
Exactly. It's a full vibe. That's exciting. I mean, obviously hope that, and I won't expect you to bring on board a whole orchestra and choir for that, but it'll be a cool show. You already kind of teased that we can expect a lot of new stuff. Not to ask you, what's the show going to be like, but more, the band has obviously reached a ton of new audiences, also within Europe, maybe more outside of like the dark metal underground in the last few years, but you also quite literally found new audiences. And here in North America, and there's the last few years, there seems to be really like an excitement for all things that are like very different than American. European acts are getting more and more popular, even though with visas it's almost impossible these days to come here. At least to the States, we're a little bit easier, I think, up here in Canada. But
easy.
How has that been for you? Like that must at some point still kind of blow your mind that these very on paper unlikely fans are emerging in places that you may have not thought of before. What's that like?
It's super weird. It struck me when we were in North America last year, and we got off the bus in Baltimore, and literally the first thing I heard was my name.
Okay.
Got off the bus, and someone was going, "Hey, bye," and I was like, "I'm in Baltimore. What? Why? How do you know me?" Yeah, I'm coming to the show later with his 2 kids. Like that already is crazy experience.
Yeah.
And it was our first full, like, proper North American tour, and the reception of it all and the feedback already was amazing. We played our first festival. We played a sold out show at Irving Plaza on my birthday. First time really playing New York, and there's about 1,000 people showing up. It could have been a German city, it could have been more or less a hometown in a way, but it wasn't. It was New York. So that still is something which needs processing, and I think the need for processing will just get more and more because we're back so soon. And the shows are even bigger. Also because of the fact that we're bringing the Birthday Massacre and Wednesday 13, but we're bringing also a new album, and there's a lot of new people showing up, I guess, and it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think of when you start making music.
I was not born in love, but I will die in it. I never took the easy way, but
I mean, it's amazing to see how this machine just keeps on rolling. I hope you all take good care of yourself so that you don't burn out. We're happy to have you come warm us up in the cold winter months soon enough. But before that happens, we've got the new album out, and I'm sure that by then even more stuff will be announced and be released. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of the day, my friend.
You too. Thank you so much.
I was not born in love, but I will die in it.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.